Hello, boys and girls and children of all ages. Fat Bastard Wannabe Buddha coming at you today. Today's topic is going to be talking about mainly what I expected, how I truly expect the government shutdown to play out, what happened exactly to the Democratic Party, my own little conspiracy theory nonsense, if you want to stay around and listen to me ramble about Democratic politics, and what I see happening in the future, and where I think the crack up of the American political system is how it's going to play out. So, truthfully, I think my honest opinion on this, I think it's already been baked into the cake, as I've said several times on my Facebook and other places, and if I've rambled to anybody that would listen to me at work. I believe eventually Bonnier removes the Dennis Hastert rule, allowing for a clean continuing resolution. He gets maybe 17 to 20 Republicans to vote for it, with almost all of the Democrats voting for it. They get a nice, clean CR bill that's presented to the president for the next 10 weeks of funding. And for this, Bonnier Bonnier's going to lose the speakership. He knows that. He's going to get a nice little lobbying job and something else, a gold watch, or work for Goldman Sachs or something. I forget. Don't really care. But he sort of fades away and drinks himself into a coma and counts his money. But what they're going to get for this is going to be a grand bargaining. That's why I'm worried that they actually might go all the way to October 15th and October 17th. They want to do a grand bargaining, and they need to scare the American people in order to basically institute what I think is going to, what the White House is positioned that's probably on the table, is you give us a clean continuing resolution, and we'll finally try a great grand bargaining and implement Simpson Bowles. So that's where I think we're headed. Obama's purpose in life is to destroy the New Deal. His purpose, the reason he was given a massive amount of funding, my conspiracy theory, in New York and was able to capture the Democratic nomination, is because the money boys seen him as the perfect candidate, the perfect individual. He could fracturize the Democratic base into the sense that there's no way the Democrats, especially the left, the more radical side of it, could oppose him if he did a more corporatist agenda, and that's what he did. He basically allowed all the bankers to walk away scot-free and nothing happened to him. And that's why he was put in office. And another thing that he was going to put in office for, in my opinion, is to finish the work of the DLC and Clinton, namely the obliteration of the New Deal. That's why he's in power. So they're going to probably institute Simpson Bowles. They get a grand compromise, and I think that's what it was all along. And I'm a huge conspiracy on that, and I'm willing to say if I'm wrong on that. But I think that's how this all plays out. But they're going to have to, I'm worried that they're going to have to go pretty close to the default on the debt ceiling itself in order to make this a reality. I think you might have to have another Lehman Brothers situation in which the Lehman Brothers was deliberately allowed to collapse in order to scare the Jesus into the Congress to basically give the banks carte blanche and a giant bailout. You might have a similar situation that they go right up to the precipice of October 15th, October 17th, and start openly talk about debt default. The dangerous thing about this is you can't really control this. Once you fire upon Fort Sumter, as the last little son boy will tell you, it all don't play out like you think it's going to play out. Everybody going out there during Bull Run in their little afternoon carriages to watch the Civil War did not know they was witnessing a giant bloodbath that would take almost 1 million lives when it was all said and done. So you can't really control history as much as you can, but I do believe that is how this is going to play out. And in the same vein, I think the political system is witnessing another fracturing. I truthfully thought the Republican Party had 1 or 2 more national elections. I wasn't expecting a giant reset of the Republican Party until 2020. And I expected them to have the last great hurrah with, their regional minority status power, basically playing to southern rural whites and predominantly male before, I thought they was going to go all in on race for the, 2016 election and 2020 election. I thought they was going to go one more time all in before they, smash that up and reset. but we might have a reset going on right now. And to a degree, what I think this is hopefully we see. I think 1948 is a good example. I think it's where we're headed. In 1943, you had two business parties. You had the Republican Party and you had the Democratic Party. The Republican Party was more predominantly at the time associated with the finance, insurance, real estate, or the Wall Street economy, while the Democratic Party was large-scale manufacturing and large-scale business, is actually productive business industry. And then you had that's when you first started having the big breakup again in America, in which you had the basic old landed gentry in the South, the neo-Confederates started popping up in the scene with Strom Thurmond breaking the Dixiecrats break from the Republican Party, and you also finally had the left wing of the Democratic Party realizing that the Democratic Party itself was nothing more than a corporate shill. This truthfully started in 1944 when you had that little palace coup that took the presidency away from Henry Wallace and gave it to Harry Truman in the Chicago Democratic Chicago in Chicago in 1944 at the Democratic Convention. There's basically a big corporate coup that happened, and Henry Wallace was stripped of his VP, and Roosevelt was too weakened, and Eleanor was too weakened to be at the Democratic convention in order to stop that little palace coup. So the business boys, the Henry Dulles and John Foster Dulles, won their little claim to power and hit the little haberdasher into power, the little Truman boy, as you know, the pro-corporate Democrat, and pretty much purged the left, the socialists, the communists, the unionists. The left wing of the Democratic Party was purged, and then it was pretty much set to flame during the 50s itself with a purge of everything. And most people remember the House of Committee on Un-American Activities as, you know, a Joseph McCarthy enterprise. But the dirty secret about the House Committee of Un-American Activities is Bobby Kennedy was sitting right to the side of Joseph McCarthy, and the whole purpose of that thing was to destroy the Henry Wallace wing of the Democratic Party once and for all, to make it once and for all an absolute certainty that certain political ideas in the Democratic Party was not to be tolerated. So you had that party basically gutted and scared absolutely you know what. Unfortunately, I might go to it on another blog, that portion of middle-class intellectual society that was attracted to the more socialist, communist, anarchist side or pro-unionist side of the equation, in order to make its mortgage payments, ran into identity politics by the late 60s. So that's a blog for another time. But what happened is you had a shattering. So I think we might be undergoing a shattering into the political system now. I don't know personally if the Republican Party really can pit this thing back together by 2016, because they're going to have a fall guy, and the establishment itself, in my opinion, has set up Ted Cruz and the Tea Party as the fall guy. I just don't know if they realize how much of the base that constitutes. So you might be seeing a crack up, and if you do see a crack up, what you're going to see is the rise of an openly neo-Confederate party, and which is what the Republican Party is right now. It got co-opted through the Southern strategy, and the parasite is pretty much at the host by now. So that's where I see it shaking out. Is I just don't see where the Democrats happen, because Obama's whole purpose is destroy the New Deal, and I don't know if the Democratic Party is actually going to stand in the way of that. And if it does play out, if there is a great compromise and they do implement something like the Simpson Bulls, you might see a shattering of the Democratic coalition. I fully haven't thought that all the way out, but that's my current thoughts right now. I think my little conspiracy theory that I was working off of for a long period of time is I thought we was going to hit the wall around 2016, 2017 as far as dollar hegemony, and that's when everything was going to start coming off the track, and I truthfully thought the Republican Party could try to play 2 more election cycles into, you know, a regional power base and actually go all in on race. I don't think they're going to be able to do it now. And I think they realize that they're going to be a fully minority status party, and it's all men for themselves right now. So that's my theory on my thoughts for today. Curious what other people have to think, if it makes any sense to anybody. What I do want to leave people with is remember that in the 48 election, Henry S. Truman got 24 million, Thomas E. Dewey got 21 million, Strom Thurmond got 1.175 million, and Henry Wallace got 1.157. And also, there was an open socialist named Norm Thomas. There was an open socialist labor by Edward Titcher, which was a front company. Both of those things were sort of CIA front companies, or OSA, actually CIA front companies at the time. And you also had the socialist worker Pharaoh Dobbs. Back in the day, the country itself was not just a little left-wing. It was radically left-wing after World War II. And right now, the country is almost fascistic as far as its political stance. Obama and the gang right now are openly going to cut Social Security. They're going to openly cut Medicare and Medicaid. They openly will cut food stamps. They openly will cut women and infant children program. They will cut Head Start. They will cut the SNAP program. They will cut the CHIP program. They will cut everything that has to deal with poor people and the less fortunate, or helping to build a better, solid middle class in this thing. But they will continue the empire forever. The empire is forever. And that's why I was facetiously supporting an absolute default, because we need a massive reset, and I don't see it happening. That's my thoughts. Sorry I was rambling today, but I like my rambling videos, and I'm probably the only one who does. Everybody else like me to stay on point. That's not my style right now. Please like, favorite, subscribe, and please comment. I'm curious if you think I'm absolutely full of it this time. All right. Hope to talk to you later. Have a good day.